Apologies in advance, but I literally got off my sick bed for this one. So forgive my croaky voice and my low energy. R.Kelly, the king of R&B, and Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, share a birthday today. They also share illustrious, legendary careers and kingly status, punctuated by sexual scandal around their public performances and their private lives, and possibly the P word. Under the revealing new moon at the weekend, the new moon in Capricorn, the Pied Piper's predilections were once again spotlighted, hopefully terminally this time. But R.Kelly, you are not alone. That's one he wrote for the Peter Pan, the other Pied Piper, Michael. No, you're not alone. This seedy underbelly is a central Capricorn theme and is indicative of society, all society, at least the current one, be it the black community or the larger mainstream, an underbelly in which we are all complicit. So, if I can keep from coughing for long enough, coming up is a closer look at the sordid shadow side of Capricorn celebrities and we, the society that they represent. Yep, like I said, apologies, I've got a classic Capricornian head cold, the result of hard partying, too much kava in my 50s. In Saturn season, you pay for everything up front. You do. Yep, classic Capricorn cold, contracted in my Capricorn homeland, the UK, and I have been pulled from my bed by the Capricorn new moon, which was an eclipse, to deal with the birthday boy. Yes, well, the king of R&B, born on, yep, glasses and notes are even more necessary now, yep, born on January the 8th, yeah, today, 1967, in Chicago, as I've said, shares this solar return with the king of rock and roll, Elvis, born January the 8th, 32 years earlier in Memphis, not Memphis, in Mississippi. He moved to Memphis, God. In 1935, yes. Let's take a look at these questionable Capricorn kings, shall we? As I've said over and over again, ad nauseum, the sun sign is not a collection of behavioral stereotypes or a laundry list of personality traits that everyone born under that sign must conform to. No, again, it's a goal, the way you see yourself, the principles and qualities you identify with and strive towards, what you want and what you are becoming. Yeah, not there yet. So the Pied Piper and Elvis the Pelvis, they share the common Capricorn goals, which are, of course, vocational achievement and mastery, a desire for public recognition and to be seen as important, and a voracious appetite for ambition in every sense. Simple as that. Ultimately, all Capricorns really want to be an authority and to have an impact on the society of their era. And it doesn't matter if they achieve success or fame through their artistic talents, direct political status, or even for their sporting prowess like Muhammad Ali. They ultimately need to feel that they have made a difference and are respected, that they're a big daddy or big mama, if you will, the king or the queen. Again, the word is becoming, striving towards. They are not there yet. They are trying to get there, and in doing so, showing us, the rest of the zodiac, how it's done or not. Now, shamelessly looking at notes here. I'm so ill. Yes, every Capricorn is supposed to master the carnal, voracious, undisciplined, unprincipled, hedonistic wild goat within before being allowed to ascend to the throne. Yeah, before. To whom much is given, much is expected. And if you're going to govern in one way or another our society, you had better know how to govern your own appetites. That would help. But unfortunately, our society is such that it allows many Capricorns to ascend to the governor's seat on bankability, talent, strategy, or Machiavellian machinations alone. It doesn't demand that Capricorn do the hard inner work to actually earn and deserve the elevation. Now, if a Capricorn is not required to do the inner work, it's highly likely that they will bring a hypocritical, dictatorial, morally bankrupt and twisted alter ego along with them to the party, and things can get very ugly. Capricorns have a gnawing insecurity, a self-doubt, an inexplicable, depressive and somewhat pessimistic demon inside, for reasons that we'll never quite fathom. It just is what it is. And if they are not required to get the better of their weaknesses, it really doesn't go away. And regardless of how much material outer success a Capricorn achieves, they will always, have this sense that they're not really good enough and that they don't really have the respect or true power, which can lead to the most atrocious abuses of what power they do have materially, and the exploitation of the innocent and the less powerful in this obsession that becomes a debauched quest to finally feel powerful within themselves. Yes, what a lot of people don't realize is that it is part of the Capricorn mission to, at least in youth, first rebel against the current societal norms, as the talented rebel with a cause, the wild child with the capacity to affect socio-political change to their talents or otherwise. And both of these self-confessed, self-effacing mama's boys fulfilled that reforming remit to the letter in their younger days. Elvis, look at the notes. Elvis caused a scandal crossing strict racial divides, musical divides, between authentic Negro music and the plagiarized, watered down mainstream versions. And by whipping teenage girls into a shocking frenzy with his sexually charged moves. I mean, at first, Elvis was shot from the head to the waist only. Oh, that pelvis. And J. Edgar Hoover, now I really have to look at my notes, the director of the FBI at the time, declared, "Presley is a definite danger to the security of the United States. His actions and emotions rouse the sexual passions of teenage youth." And suffice to say, R.Kelly, I don't need to go over his history, we just saw it on Lifetime. R.Kelly thrust his way to the forefront of R&B, replacing the central soulful seductions of the likes of Al Green and Teddy Pendergrass with explicit lyrics, pornographic performances, and irresistible rhythms. I mean, frankly, they were irresistible rhythms. We've got to admit it. However, despite both going on to become legendary bastions, godfathers of the very same musical genres that they revolutionized in their younger days, in that classic Capricorn way, that classic Capricorn style, like David Bowie, who went from, Star Man Freaky Deak to the Thin White Duke, and Rod Stewart, who, is literally a bastion, of tradition now after being a very wild guy. Yeah, but despite fulfilling that, neither of these kings was required to master that depraved wild goat privately, or compelled to go on to achieve true integrity and a solid moral compass.
You were 14 years old. Elvis was 24, right? Mm-hmm. How did your parents allow a 14-year-old teenager, baby, to be with this then superstar of...
It was not easy on my parents. First of all, it was just an innocent meeting. And of course, I was excited, and I was reluctant because I didn't think they'd ever let me go. But it was just a one-time opportunity. That's all they thought it would be. I never expected him to ask me back. They never expected him to ask me back.
I do see myself as a victim of R.Kelly.
I was willing to do anything to please him.
It wasn't just me that was young that he liked.
I felt like a prisoner. I started to believe that I was nothing without Rob.
Brainwashed, yes, absolutely. Mental and physical abuse.
I finally realized it doesn't get better, it gets worse.
Surviving R.Kelly.
So, as you can see, whether or not you believe that R.Kelly was and is guilty as charged, I plead the fifth, or whether or not Elvis Presley deflowered Priscilla and allegedly many others before the legal date. Yeah. Both of these self-professed mama's boys, these kings with frankly creepy mommy issues, are on record as having courted and in one case even illegally married underage pubescent girls, children. Both symbolize the rot in our present society, in its flagrant, sacrificial disregard of women and children, and some might argue the actual worship of that wild goat. Both were elevated, enabled, aided and abetted in their excesses and exploitation and monstrous, depraved obsession with feeling powerful. Literally enabled by their family, friends and entourage, and sanctioned by we, the record-buying public, especially and predominantly the female fans. Now, don't get it twisted. An alleged unholy interest in children is not solely the preserve of Capricorns. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Oh no. Polanski is a Leo. Woody, a Sagittarius. Weinstein is a Pisces. And Spacey is a Cancer. But some variation on the theme of sexual licentiousness or carnal debauchery or womanizing to the extreme does seem to be a major theme of the Capricorn shadow, and seems to follow Capricorn celebrities, particularly the male ones, around. I mean, after all, this is an earth sign, concerned with the physical and the tangible appetites and desires here on earth. And yeah, Capricorn icons and legends are pretty heavily overrepresented in this particular type of scandal. For example, Bill Cosby. I plead the fifth again. But apparently America's favorite dad had a dark side. And wherever you stand on his current conviction, Dr. Huxtable and Playboy Hugh Hefner as a bestie is quite problematic, worth investigating at least. Okay, Tiger Woods, the Blasian sensation. Well, it seems that behind that advertiser-friendly, squeaky, clean, big smile, Capricorns have good teeth or really bad teeth. It's always an extreme. Yes, there lurks a low-down, dirty dog. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't shoot the messenger. Again, I plead the fifth, but it is rumoured that he was a hell of a womanizer throughout his life. And Phil Spector. Now, Phil Spector is not exactly a king, but he is definitely rock royalty. His legendary wall of sound revolutionized the sound of pop forever. And this groundbreaking writer, producer, was the youngest person in America to own his own record label. He produced hits over 3 decades and worked with wonderful, legendary artists like Tina Turner, for whom he wrote River Deep, Mountain High.
Let's go. faster, just a little bit. Take two. One more time. I need a, Earl, I need a bass drum hit there. Ba-bam, 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 ba-bam.
The Beatles, John Lennon, George Harrison. He actually produced Oh My Lord, My Sweet Lord, that famous song. And of course the Righteous Brothers. He is the man that gave us You Lost That Loving Feeling, which I think is, I'm not sure if it's still, but was the most played song of the 20th century. Well, it must be, because we're out of the 20th century now. But despite his amazing achievements and accomplishment and all that respect he had and still has in the music business, with many artists citing him as their influence, he was incarcerated and still is incarcerated in 2007 for the second-degree murder of his wife or girlfriend at the time. He was accused by famous second wife Ronnie Spector of the Ronettes of imprisonment and consistent and persistent abuse, largely verbal, and was accused by two of his stepchildren, their stepchildren together, of imprisonment and sexual abuse. I could go on. Denzel, Muhammad Ali, all rumoured to be chronic womanizers. It goes on, but you get the picture. Well, with Pluto in Capricorn, this whole entire setup is about to be exposed and then burnt to the ground. There will be transformation though. So, I mean, the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, 248 years ago, we saw the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and the drawing up of the Constitution and Bill of Rights. So expect socio-political earthquakes, all manner of upheaval, and the SHIT being sifted up, exposed, and got rid of finally. And expect more of the predators, especially the cardinal signs, which are Cancer, Libra, Aries, and of course Capricorn, being exposed and getting their just desserts at last. Yeah, the goat system or no goat system. As Rick Levine predicted, this will be the time of revelation, and this shall go on for another 16 years before we begin to see, well, I think we're already beginning to see the shape of the new structure of our society. Pluto in Capricorn began its tenancy by taking a swipe at the financial system in 2008, and that was just the beginning. So you might as well stop with the pretend faux outrage and gasping at the revelations, because we all knew. We all turned a blind eye, and get ready for the mirror to be turned on each of us that make up the whole of this society and the various micro societies within our larger edifice. And yeah, hold on to your hat. I'm going back to bed, and thank you for joining me. See you in Facebook if you want to go a bit deeper